Very good morning to all of you, friends. I hope you enjoyed your long weekend. So let's get back to studies after all these days, holidays and all. So guys, we started with the chapter named overheads, wherein we discussed the meaning of overhead. Apart from this, we discussed distribution of overhead, wherein we discussed allocation and apportionment of overheads. Thereafter, guys, since the service departments are not manufacturing any types of units, they are simply providing services to the production department. So we were discussing that the overheads of the service department are to be redistributed to the production department. There were two situations wherein the first situation was that service department was providing services only to the production department, a question we discussed for the same. The second situation wherein if in case the service department provides services to the service department itself, wherein there were two approaches, that is reciprocal and non-reciprocal. When talking about non-reciprocal, we discussed a sum wherein the service department is providing services to the production department as well as service department, wherein we have to identify first of all the sequence. Once the sequence is identified, then we do distribute the overheads. Now guys, let's move towards the next part. 1 second guys. So guys, now let's move towards the next part of the chapter, that is reciprocal service method, wherein the service department provides services to the production department as well as to each other. That is, if there are two service departments, X and Y, then X is providing services to all the production department and it is providing services to Y also. Whereas in case of Y also, it is providing services to all the production department and it is providing services to X also. So guys, let's start with this part, that is reciprocal service method, wherein we further discuss that there are three methods, that is trial and error method, repetitive distribution method, and simultaneous equation method. So guys, let's start with these methods. All these three methods, I'll be discussing these methods with the help of example, that is example number 4 of study material. So guys, I request you to please आप अपना स्टडी मटेरियल निकाल लीजिए. Those who are not having study material can please download the material from ICAI portal. I'm discussing illustration number 4 and I'll be discussing simultaneous equation method and repetitive distribution method. Trial and error method is not at all relevant from examination point of view. So these two methods I'll be discussing one by one. I'll be starting with illustration number 4 guys. So I request कि आप अपना study material निकाल लीजिए. Very good morning to all of you guys. So guys, let's start with illustration number 4. That is Sanj Limited is a manufacturing company having 3 production departments, that is A, B and C, and 2 service departments, that is X and Y. The following is the budget for December 2021, that is material, wages, factory rent, power, depreciation and other overheads. Now herein nothing is given as regards allocation, so we have to apportion the overheads, and further the overheads are to be apportioned in a particular proportion. First of all, we have to identify the base of apportionment. So herein the factory rent is given and the details relating to area is given. So this factory rent will be apportioned in the ratio of area. Further, power is given. It can be distributed in the ratio of horsepower. Will be making necessary calculation of horsepower of machines. Apart from this, depreciation is given. It can be distributed in the ratio of capital value of assets. And other overheads, nothing is given in the question. So this will be distributed in the ratio of machine hours. Very good morning, Ria. Now further, they have given that a technical assessment of the apportionment of expenses of service department is as under. Now they are talking about the reapportionment of overheads of service department, wherein service department X and Y, the details of the ratios are given. Prepare a statement showing distribution of overheads to various departments. So first of all, we have to do allocation or apportionment, that is primary distribution. And thereafter prepare a statement showing redistribution of service department expenses to the production department. Now here they are saying trial and error method. I'll be discussing all the methods one by one. So this is all what about this question. So guys, this is a complete full-fledged question what the maximum examiner can ask if they ask the question relating to apportionment, reapportionment, distribution of overheads. So this is a complete package and it will be a revision of what I have discussed till now. So let's start with illustration number 4. Statement showing now there are 3 production departments. That is A, B and C. And 2 service department. This is the table we have to prepare. Rekha, I'll be discussing the simultaneous equation also. Don't worry, my dear. Let me complete the primary distribution first of all. So guys, let's start. Now, we are talking about overheads. Now, herein we have to calculate the total overheads of A, B, C, X and Y. So when talking about direct material and direct wages, for the production department, they will form part of direct cost. But the direct material and direct wages of X and Y are to the material cost and labor cost. So 2 lakh and 1 lakh. Very good morning, Sushil Kumar. Now wages, that is 1 lakh and 2 lakh. So the video is okay? Admin sir? Admin sir, are you there? Admin sir, are you there? Guys, am I visible and audible to all? Guys, am I visible and audible to all? Okay, fine. Miss Samritpal Kaur, those who are facing some issues as regards video, I request you to please refresh your connection, internet connection. Now, Amritpal Kaur, that is why direct material and wages are not taken in A, B, and C. See, guys, direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses form part of all these are direct expenses that will be considered separately. We are only talking about overheads of the production department and service department. Now, why I have taken material and wages of X and Y? The only reason is that since in X and Y no units are manufactured, so whatever the cost that belongs to X and Y is to be reapportioned to A, B, and C, whether it is material, whether it is labor, whether it is direct expenses, whether it is any sort of indirect expenses. Whatever the expenses that are incurred in X and Y is to be reapportioned, since no units are manufactured in X and Y. Now, guys, let's start with the other expenses. That is rent, power, depreciation. Rent is there, power is there, depreciation is there, and other overheads. So rent is 4 lakh. Total power cost is 2,50,000. Depreciation is 1 lakh. And the other overheads are 9 lakh. So first of all, rent will be distributed on the basis of area. So here in this question, the area in square feet is given. Very good morning, Anu Gupta. Now the area is given, that is 500 square feet for A, B, C, and C, so and so on. So let's distribute this 4 lakh in the ratio of 500 is to 250 is to 500 is to 250 is to 500. So 2,000. So 4 lakh divided by 2,000 into 500. So this will be 1 lakh. This will be 50,000. This will be again 1 lakh. This will be 50,000. When talking about the ratio, this will be distributed in the ratio of machine hours is 1,000 into 50, horsepower of machine is 50. So total this will be distributed in the ratio of 50,000 is to 80,000 is to 80,000 is to 15,000 is to 25,000. This will be the ratio. How come 50,000? Very simple, 50 into 1,000. That is horsepower into machine hours. Admin sir, are you there? Admin sir? So the video is lagging or buffering or what? Because some students are saying that it is disconnected again. नहीं, 2 या 3 स्टूडेंट्स को कुछ दिक्कत आ रही है, बट 3 या 4 स्टूडेंट्स को एक ही टाइम पे दिक्कत आ रही है. एक बार आप वापस रीचेक करेंगे सर. जस्ट गाइस 1 मिनट. फ्रॉम माय साइड इट इज ऑल ओके. हाँ, guys, there are some connectivity issues from your end only, because I mean, as far as I have checked with the concerned person, he is saying that there are no issues from our end. So do we need to refresh it again, sir? Sir, admin sir, do we need to refresh and restart the connection again? Because sir, can you please put the session on hold for a minute? सर, आपने सेशन होल्ड पे डाला है ना? प्लीज कीप द सेशन ऑन होल्ड फॉर 2-3 minutes प्लीज. सर, hi guys, there was some technical issues, शायद कुछ issue रहा होगा, so I request you guys to please refresh your internet connection, because I've checked with my admin person, and since I mean I don't think there are any issues from our end, so those who are facing any issues can please refresh the page, or I request you to please re-log in into the portal. That is advisable. So guys, let's proceed further. Herein we have started with statement showing distribution of overheads, wherein we have started with primary distribution, and many students ask, sir, कि भाई ये दो figures आपने क्यों लिया? Why direct material and direct wages in service department? So guys, 1 second. See guys, since no units are manufactured in X and Y, this X and Y are here to assist only the production department. So that's why अगर one more point guys, अगर हम लोग ये दो नहीं लेते, that is material and labor, ऑफ एक्स एंड वाई अगर हम लोग नहीं लेते तो फिर वो ओवरहेड्स कहीं अब्सॉर्ब ही नहीं हो पाते. So that's what it is. Very simple, guys. Since no units are manufactured in X and Y, so whatever the cost that belongs to X and Y, whether it is material, whether it is wages, and whatever the expenses, we need to make the total, and this will be redistributed to the production department, that is A, B, and C. Now, few students were asking the query that, sir, why we have multiplied this horsepower with machine hours? See, guys, I mean, it's a logical point, more or less. It's just like a common sense. It's more like common sense only. So when the horsepower of machines are given, that is 50, 40, and since the total number of machine hours worked is 1000, 2000, so this is the base that needs to be used to distribute the overheads. So that's why I have considered horsepower as well as machine hours as a base to distribute the horsepower. So guys, let's distribute this. The total is 50 plus. So horsepower I have already calculated. So the total overheads are 2,50,000. They will be distributed as 50,000, 80,000, 80,000, 15,000, and 25,000. Now depreciation, very simple, guys. It will be distributed in the ratio of capital value of assets. So 1 lakh will be distributed in the ratio of Mr. Levy Matthew, sir, but how do we know that a department has not produced anything? It is clearly mentioned in the question that X and Y are the service department, Levy. Mr. Matthew, I repeat again, it is clearly mentioned in the question that there are two service departments, that is X and Y, and service department are meant for services only. They are not meant for production. I have already discussed this part in last class. I have given few examples also, that is housekeeping department, or let's say HR department, maintenance department. So these departments are not meant for any sort of production. They are just to assist the production department. So whatever the cost that belongs to the service department is to be redistributed to the production department, ताकि क्या हो कि जो भी हमारी टोटल कॉस्ट हुई हो, जो भी हमारी टोटल कॉस्ट इनकर हुई हो, वेदर इट इन प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट और सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट, वो सारी कॉस्ट जो है हमारे प्रोडक्ट को चार्ज हो जाए. Yes, Matanjali, correct. Well said, because since nothing is given in the question, then anyways you have to distribute in the ratio of horsepower only. So guys, let's proceed further. So capital value of assets, it is given, it should be distributed in the ratio of 2:4:2:1:1. So the total is 1 lakh. So this will be distributed as 20,000, 40,000, 20,000, 10,000, and 10,000. Now last overhead, since no base is given, so we will assume that it will be absorbed on the basis of machine hours only. So herein the machine hours are given, that is 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 1,000, and 1,000. So it will be divided by 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 4, 7, 8, and 9. So 9 lakh will be distributed in the ratio of machine hours. So the distribution will be like 1 lakh plus 2 lakh, 4 lakh for C, 1 lakh and 1 lakh for X and Y. So guys, this is all what about distribution of overheads that what we discussed in the previous session also. So now we have the total overheads of each and every department, that is 1 lakh plus. So 1 lakh plus 1 lakh, 2 lakh plus 70. So this will be 2 lakh 70,000. This will be this will be 3 lakh 70,000. This will be 6 lakh. So the total for service department will be 3 lakh plus 50,000 plus 15,000 plus 10,000 plus 1 lakh. So this will be 4 lakh 75,000. 3 lakh, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 lakh 35,000. So this is the first step of distribution of overhead, or we can say this is primary distribution of overhead, wherein we have apportioned all the overheads that are incurred to various departments, that is production department and service department. So if you guys have any queries in this part, you guys can please ask me. Okay, one second. Sahil, thank you so much. Now, Bapan Das, sir, why other overheads are distributed on the basis of machine hour? See, Mr. Das, since nothing is given in the question, so we will, if nothing is given in the question, I mean, no hints are given that in what ratio this needs to be distributed. So better, I mean, if it is machine hours, then we'll distribute in the ratio of machine hours. And if labor hours are given, then we'll be distributing the other overheads in the ratio of labor hour. No other base is relevant for distribution of other overheads. That's why I have distributed in the ratio of machine hours, or if labor hours are given, then labor hours. No, Karthik Gupta, they will be treated as overheads only, and they will be reapportioned to the overheads of the production. They will be reapportioned to the production department. So guys, done with this part. That is the statement showing distribution of overhead, wherein we discuss primary distribution, wherein we have apportioned the overheads that are incurred to various departments. So this part is over. Now let's start with distribution of overheads of service department to the production department. That is the reciprocal method. Guys, as discussed, now we are starting with the reciprocal method. Wherein it can be, the overheads can be distributed, that is the overheads of the service department can be redistributed in following 3 ways, that is trial and error method, simultaneous equation method, and repetitive distribution method. One of the student is having query that, sir, what is the difference between reciprocal and non-reciprocal? So guys, now guys, what is the difference between reciprocal and non-reciprocal, guys? So let's say there are two service department X and Y. X is providing services to Y and Y is also providing services to X. So herein it is called as reciprocal method. That is, both the department are providing services to each other. Both the service department are providing services to each other. So herein we call it as reciprocal method. But let's take a different scenario. Let's take a different scenario wherein X is providing services to Y, but Y is not providing services to X. Y is providing services only to the production department. So we call it as non-reciprocal. I repeat again, if the service department are providing services to each other, that is X is providing to Y, Y is providing to X, then that is reciprocal. As far as non-reciprocal is concerned, let's say X is providing to Y and Y is not providing back to X. It is non-reciprocal. So now, distribution of overhead, that is redistribution of overheads of service department to production department. There are three methods. So we'll be discussing each and every method one by one. So let's start first with simultaneous equation method. Reapportionment of overheads of service department. So let's start with simultaneous equation method. Now we have the total overheads as calculated of X is 4,75,000. This 4,75,000 of Y, that is 5,35,000 as calculated. Now we have to distribute this X and Y, that is the overheads of service department, to the production department as well as to each other. So let's start, guys, by using simultaneous equation method. Now see, please refer question wherein it is given that service department X provides services to the production department, that is A, B and C, and also to the Y. And Y is providing services to A, B and X. So my point is that this 4,75,000, is this the total overheads? No. Certain percentage of Y will be added to X. Now second point, is 5,35,000 the total overheads of Y? No. Why? Because certain product overheads of X will also be added to Y. So now, let's assume total overheads of service department X, B, X and service department Y, B, Y. So how much will be the total overheads of X? X will be equal to 4,75,000, the overhead as calculated, plus certain percentage of Y. So when talking about the total overheads of department X, X will be equal to how much? X is the total overheads of department X. So the X will be equal to 4,75,000 added, sorry, as calculated, plus certain percentage of Y. Now how much overheads of Y are apportioned to X? It is 5%. So plus 5% of Y. When talking about Y, this will be 5,35,000 as calculated plus certain percentage of X, and it is given that 10% overheads of X department are apportioned to Y. So it will be 10% of X. If you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can please ask me. We are going with the secondary distribution wherein we are reapportioning the overheads of the service department to the production department. We are discussing reciprocal method. In this, we are discussing the simultaneous equation method to calculate the total overheads of X and Y. This overheads is calculated in the previous table, that is 4,75,000, 5,35,000 need to be distributed to the production department. But this is not the total overheads. Certain percentage of X will be distributed to Y and certain percentage of Y will be distributed to X. So to calculate the total overheads of X and Y, we are using the simultaneous equation method. So wherein, let's assume that the total overhead of service department X dx, and let's assume that the total overheads of service department Y dy. So X will be equals to how much? 4,75,000 as calculated. Now refer question wherein it is given that service department Y, the certain percentage is apportioned to the X, that is 5%. So 4,75,000 plus 5% of what? Y. When talking about Y, this is 5,35,000 plus 10% is apportioned to Y from X, so plus 10% of X. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys please tell me. This part is very important. Once you are thorough with this part, it's very easy to calculate the value of X and Y. That is via simultaneous equation method. So waiting for your queries, guys. So guys, few students are facing query that, sir, why 5%, why 10%? So guys, please refer the question where it is given that service department X is providing services to A, that is 45%, B, that is 15%, C, that is 30%. And further, X is providing services to the Y department also, and 10% will be apportioned to Y. So the total overheads of Y will be how much? The overheads as calculated plus 10% of X. As far as X is concerned, it is given that 5% overheads of Y department will be apportioned to X. It means what? 5% overheads of Y department will belongs to X. So that's why I have taken 5% of Y plus 4,75,000, it equals to X. Vijay Gore, I suggest you to go with labor hours rather than machine hours. Great, guys. Now let's solve this equation. So X will be equals to 4,75,000 plus 5% of Y. And the value of Y is how much? It is given 5% of Y, and Y is equals to how much? 5,35,000 plus 0.1x. So this will be 4,75,000 plus 26,750 0.005x. So x minus 0.005x should be equal to 501750. So the x will be equals to 504271. That will be the total overheads of X. Now substituting the value of x in equation, substituting the value of x in equation number, let's say 2. So y will be equal to 5,35,000 plus 10% of x, that is 50427. So this will be the value of y. $585,427. So now we have got the total overheads of x that is to be distributed to the various production department and total overheads of y that is to be distributed to the production department. So if you guys have any doubts in this calculation, you guys can please ask me. I'm just explaining you how to solve simultaneous equation method. So I mean, in this question, I mean, in the book, they are not solving with simultaneous equation, but since I have to discuss this concept, so I have taken this example, that is illustration number 4, for more clarity. Sushil Kumar, sir, why you have taken x is equals to so and so? I repeat again, Sushil Kumar, the total overheads of x as calculated is 475 plus certain percentage of y will be apportioned to x. Now it is given in the question that service department y overheads 5% belongs to x. 5% belongs to whom? X. So x will be equal to 475 as calculated plus 5% of y. Anyone having any doubts can please tell me. This is the way you have to solve the simultaneous, I mean, you have to calculate the total overheads of service department using simultaneous equation method. It's up to you, Jyoti. You can take any of the service department. It's up to you. In both the cases, the answer will be the same. I hope this is fine for you, Mr. Matthew. Rekha, hopefully your doubt is resolved. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Jyoti, can you please elaborate your query because I'm not getting what you are asking. I repeat again, when it is a reciprocal approach wherein the service department are providing services to each other. So there are various methods of this. One method is simultaneous equation method, wherein with the help of this method, we calculate the total overheads of x and y. So the overheads as calculated after distribution is 475 and 535. Now this is not the total overheads of x and y. Certain percentage of x belongs to y and certain percentage of y belongs to x. So let assume that the total overheads of department x be x and service department y be y. So x is equals to 4,75,000 plus certain percentage of y. Now please check y, service department y overheads. Now how much is apportioned to x? 5%. So 5% of y. That's why I have taken 5% of y, Jyoti. Further, 5,35,000 plus certain percentage of x is distributed to y. Now let's check service department x. X is providing services to y department. and 10% overheads will be apportioned to the Y. It means what? 10% of X will be apportioned to whom? Y. For more clarity, Jyoti, it means what? 10% overheads of X belongs to Y. For more understanding, Jyoti, since you are finding it difficult to frame the equation, so it means what? 10% overheads of X belongs to Y. So that's why I have taken 10% of X. It will be considered now in the distribution of these amounts to the production department, my dear. Karthik. So now, guys, we are out with the total overheads of X and Y. X is 504271 and Y is 585427. Now let's distribute these two amounts. Those who want to copy this part can please copy or please take the screenshot, guys. Yes, this is a rounding of difference, Pooja. I request you guys to please copy this part. The CM solution is not available in the study material, guys. Those who want to take the screenshot can please take the screenshot. Yes, it's some simple mathematics. That's what you have studied in class 4, 5 and 6. Now, let's redistribute the overheads of X and Y. There are three production departments. That is production department A, B and C. Now we have already distributed certain overheads to A and B and C in the primary distribution. So overheads as per primary distribution. So this was somewhat 2,70,000. This was 3,70,000 and I think C was 6 lakh. Let me check the solution. Yes, this was 6 lakh. Now we have to distribute the overheads of X and Y to A, B and C. So distribution of overheads of department X. And the total amount is 504271. It is given in the question that 45% is to be apportioned to A. So 504271 into 45%, that is 226,922. 226,922. That is 45% of 504271. 504271 into 45%. For your reference, I am writing, no need to write this in exam. The next is 15%. So this will be 75641. Next is 30%. That is 151281. Similarly, distribution of overheads of Y. Now guys, do make a note of it that 10% is already allocated to Y, which is added to Y. So no need to recalculate it, guys. Now distribution of overheads of Y, that is 585427. So 585427 into 60%. So this will be 351256. 351256. And next is 35%. That is 204899. So now we can calculate the total overheads of production department A, B, and C that is to be absorbed and charged to the various products or jobs. So 2,70,000 plus 226, 922 plus 351,256. So 848,178. For B, this is 370 plus 75, 641 plus 204,899. So this will be 65054. 3,70,000 plus 75, 641 plus 204, 650,541. And this will be 7,51,281. You have to ignore the distribution of overheads to X and Y because it is already added to X and Y. I mean, whatever it is. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Waiting for your queries, guys. I have done with the simultaneous equation method, wherein first of all, what we have discussed is that how to frame the equation. I mean, how to prepare the equation, simultaneous equation, thereafter the solution part, and the last part is distribution part. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries. Very good, guys. Those who want to copy the solution can please copy. Waiting for your queries, guys. Very good, Jyoti. Very good, Himanshu. Very good, Vijay. Anyone having any doubts can please ask me. Those who want to copy this part can please copy, guys. Jyoti Sidwani, hopefully your doubt is clear how to frame an equation. Waiting for your queries, guys. I'll be discussing one more question on simultaneous equation for more clarity, because still few students are finding it difficult to frame the equation. Pooja PS, that is Pooja PS, can you please solve using other method also? Yes, I'll be solving the same question using other methods also. But for more clarity, I'm discussing illustration number 3 of the study material using simultaneous equation method. We'll get back again to this question, illustration number 4, wherein we'll be discussing repetitive distribution method. So let's start with illustration number 3. I'll be discussing illustration number 3 for more clarity, guys. So guys, let's start with illustration number 3. I request you guys to please open study material illustration number 3. The page number is 4.20. No, Jayannath, because 5% and 10% is already apportioned to X and Y. So that's why I have taken 45% instead of 45 by 90. Yes, Jayannath. So guys, refer illustration number 3 of the study material. Service department expenses are boiler house and pump house. And the overheads of this boiler house and a pump house are to be reapportioned to production department A and B. The total expenses are as follows. Okay, fine. So let's start with illustration number 3, guys. Reapportionment of overheads of service department to production department and simultaneous equation method. So now the overheads of the boiler house is 3 lakh as given, plus certain percentage of overheads of pump house belongs to boiler house. So let's assume total overheads of boiler house B and pump house BP. Now let's start framing the 3 lakh plus 50% of P. When talking about the total overheads of pump house, it is 60,000 plus certain percentage of B, and it is given that 5% overheads of boiler house are apportioned to pump house. So it means what? 5% of. So B will be equal to 3 lakh plus 50% of 60,000, that is 30,000, plus 0.05 into 50%, that is 0.025 B. So this will be 0.975 B should be equal to 3,30,000. So the value of B will be 3,30,000 divided by 0.975. So this will be 3,38,461. 3,38,461. So we can easily calculate the value of P. So P will be equal to how much? That is 60,000 plus 5% of what? 338,461. So this will be 76923. So now we are done with the total amount of B and P. Now it's very easy to apportion these overheads of B and P that I've already discussed in the last question. Isha Jaiswal, I have already explained this in detail. Admin sir, is there any connectivity issues again? Admin sir, are you there? Are there? Because many, because 2-3 students again are writing that. Sir. You please check it again, na sir. Sir, done? Okay. So guys, we are done with simultaneous equation method. Isha Jaiswal, I have already discussed this part in detail in the previous question also. For your reference, again I am saying that certain percentage of boiler house overheads belongs to P. So the boiler house, when talking about the total overheads of P, that will be 60,000 plus certain percentage of B. And it is given in the question that 5% of boiler house overheads belongs to P. So 5% of boiler house. For your reference also I am writing. It means what? 5% overheads of boiler house belongs to pump house. So pump house का total overheads कितना होगा? 60,000 plus 5% overheads of boiler house. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries. The simultaneous equation is over, guys. So guys, let's get back to illustration number 4. We are done with the primary distribution of overheads. Now we are starting with the second method, that is repetitive distribution method. As per the primary distribution, since I have already discussed, there are 3 production department and 2 service department, X and Y. And now we have the total overheads of all these departments, that is overheads as per primary distribution. I am discussing illustration number 4 using repetitive distribution method, guys. As far as primary distribution, I have already calculated this part. So now the final answers are there with us, that is 2,70,000, 3,70,000, 6 lakh was for C. For X and Y, this is 4,75,000 and 5,35,000. These are the figures we have already calculated in illustration number 4. So now let's start with repetitive distribution. The method itself says you have to distribute the overheads repetitively. So guys, go with the flow. So now let's distribute the overheads of service department X. The total overheads of service department X are 4,75,000. So we have to subtract it. And this amount will be distributed to all the production department and service department as per the ratio given. So 4,75,000. Yes, Vijay Gore, the answer will be the same. So 4,75,000 into 45%. This will be 213,750. This will be 71250. This will be 30%. This will be 1,42,500. $47,500. This is the simplest method, guys, wherein we have distributed 4,75,000 in the ratio of 45:15:30:10. Now we have the total overheads of Y, so let's distribute it to A, B, C, and X. So department X. So the total overheads of department Y that need to be distributed is 5,35,000. That is as calculated plus certain percentage of X. So 5,35,000 plus 47,500, that is 582,500. This is the total amount that is to be distributed among A, B, and X. So 60% belongs to A. So 349,500. %35 to B, that is 203875. Nothing is distributed to C. And 5% to X, that is 29,125. Now again, let's distribute the overheads of X. The overheads that need to be distributed is 29,125. So this will be distributed among A, B, and C and Z. So 29,125 into 45%. So this will be 313,106. 15%. This will be 4,369. %, that will be 8,737. And last will be 10%. So this will be 2,913. Now let's distribute 2,913 again. That is the overheads of Y department. This process will be repeated till we are getting a very nominal amount, let's say 10, 15, 20 rupees. So 2,913 is the total amount of Y. Now let's distribute it to A, B, C, A, B, and X. So 2,913 into 60%. So this will be 1,749. Next 35%. So this will be 1,019. Next is 5%, that is 145. Again, the name, I repeat again, guys, the name itself says repetitive. You have to repeatedly distribute till the amount is more or less in, in 10 rupees or 15 rupees or 20 rupees. So let's distribute the overheads of department X also. Again, so this is 145 into 60%, sorry, X into 45%, this will be 65 into 15%, this will be 22 into 30%, this will be 43.5, that is 43. And the last amount will be 14.5. So let's assume as 15. Now, since the figures are in, number of 10 to 20 rupees, 30 rupees, so this will be the final distribution. So let's distribute the overheads of department Y again. So 15 will be distributed only to A, B, and C. So the overheads of Y are distributed in the ratio of 60:35. So 15 into 60%. So this will be 9 and this part will be 6. So now we are done with the distribution. I repeat again, this distribution will be, ये distribution तब तक करना है जब तक जो figure है, final figure है service department के overheads का, it is nearby 10 to 20 rupees. So now let's calculate the total. That is 2,70,000, 213,750, 349,500, 13,106, 1749, 65 and 9. So 848,179. Six 50541. So these are the final overheads of production department, that is X, A, B, and C. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. One more point, guys. In reciprocal approach, wherein there are three methods, that is simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method, and trial and method. In all these methods, this final answer will be the same. In all these methods, that is simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method, and trial and error method, all the three answers will be the same. The final answer, that is the final overheads of the production department, will be same in all the cases. That is all the three methods. There may be some difference because of the rounding off and all, but rest all, the answers will be the same with all the three methods. Now, from examination point of view, which method to use? So examiner will clearly specify that which method you have to use. That is whether you have to use simultaneous equation method or repetitive distribution method. So you have to use the method that is instructed by the examiner. If the question is silent, it's up to you. So if you guys are like, if the question is silent, I personally advise you to use simultaneous equation method because it is less time consuming. As far as the difficulty level is concerned, all the methods are very easy. If you are thorough with the concept and if you have practiced a lot for all these methods, the methods are very easy. So this is all what about as far as trial and error method is concerned. It is more like repetitive distribution method. So you guys can refer the study material because again, more or less like repetitive distribution method. So you can refer the study material for the same. I'm not discussing trial and error method. So that's it. As far as distribution is concerned, we have discussed. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please ask me. Else we'll start with the next part of the chapter, that is absorption of overheads. So waiting for your queries as far as distribution, redistribution. If you have any, you guys can please ask me. Pooja, I'll be discussing the machine hour part in the next session. There is one more session for overheads. So I'll be discussing that part in the next session. We are done with distribution of overhead, wherein we discuss what is apportionment, what is allocation, why service department, further why the overheads of service department are apportioned to the production department. Further, we have discussed three ways wherein the direct redistribution method, wherein the overheads of the service department are directly distributed to the production department. Thereafter, what if in case if the service department provides services to the production department as well as the service department, wherein there were two approaches, that is reciprocal and non-reciprocal. Non-reciprocal we have discussed in the last session, wherein the department who is providing services to the maximum department will be distributed first, and so on. In the next part, we discuss the reciprocal, wherein the service department provides services to each other. So wherein we discuss two methods, that is simultaneous equation method and repetitive distribution method. Trial and error method, you can refer the study material. This method is very easy. Since the time is running, we have to cover many more. So you can refer study material for trial and error method. But mind it guys, very important, whatever the method you use, whether simultaneous equation method or repetitive distribution method, the answer will be the same in all the cases. As far as weightage is concerned, approx 6 to 8 marks question the examiner can ask for repetitive distribution method. Thank you so much. So guys, let's take 5 to 10 minutes break and then we'll start with the absorption. Thereafter, one more very important concept, that is under or over absorption of overheads. So you guys can have tea and relax for 10 minutes. Thereafter, we'll be starting with the next part of chapter, that is absorption. Why absorption? What is the meaning of absorption? And thereafter, the under absorption and over absorption meaning and treatment. I'll be making you do few questions in the class also. So I'll be waiting for your answers also. So guys, let's meet up after 10 minutes and then we will start with the next part of the chapter, guys. Admin sir, let's take a break of 10 minutes, please. Welcome back, guys. After a much needed break, I have checked that many students are having queries in trial and error method. So for your reference, I'll be discussing trial and error method also. Further, Pooja, I request you to have some patience. I'll be covering each and every point in detail as far as overheads and all the chapters is concerned. So you have to be a little patient. Further, when talking about addressing the queries, I want that every student should be crystal clear with the concept. That's why I do make few repetitions again and again, so that at least you know the students, who are not finding it easy to understand. So उनको बराबर से समझ में आ जाए. That's what I want. Anyways, guys, so let's discuss this question with trial and error method also, because many students are finding difficulty in trial and error method. So as I said that this method is more or less similar to the repetitive distribution method, but still many students are facing the queries. So let's start, guys, with the trial and error method. Now, this method is more or less like repetitive distribution method, but herein we first calculate the total overheads of X and Y, and then we distribute the overheads of these service department to the production department. So let's say there are two departments, that is X and Y, the service department. The total overheads as calculated is as per that is I have calculated 4,75,000 and 5,35,000. Now let's start with the trial and error method. This method is more or less like repetitive distribution method, wherein we first calculate the total overheads of the service department. So now let's distribute X overheads of X to Y, then Y to X. 1 second. Sorry. We have to first calculate the total overheads of X and Y, wherein we will repeatedly distribute the overheads of X to Y, Y to X to calculate the total overheads. So let's start with distribution of X, wherein it is given that 10% overheads belongs to Y. It means what? 47,500 belongs to Y. 1 second, guys. 47,500 belongs to Y, that is 10% belongs to Y. So now we'll get the total overheads, that is 4,75,000, plus the total overheads of Y will be 4,35,000 plus 47,500. So this will be 582,500. One second, guys. Sorry. Now let's distribute the total overheads of Y. Of Y, 5% belongs to X. It means what? 582,500 into 5%, that is 29,125 belongs to X. Now, the total overheads are once distributed. Now we will be distributing only this part. So when talking about X, again 10% belongs to Y. So 10% of 29,125, that is 2913. 2913 is what? 29,125 into 5%. I repeat again, 4,75,000, 10% belongs to Y, so 47,500. So the total overhead, this is also to be distributed to X. So 535 is to be distributed to X. Apart from this, 47,500 also needs to be distributed to X. So this is how I get 29,125, that is 582,500 into 5%, that is 29,125. Now out of this 29,125, 5% belongs to Y. Sorry, 10% belongs to Y. So this will be 2913. Now again, distribution of Y. Now again we have to distribute the overheads of Y. Of Y, 5% belongs to X. So 5% of 2913, that is 2913 into 5%, this will be 145. Now again, if you want, you can distribute it more, but since it is a trial and error method, so we will once the figure is to till 3 figures, that is 3 digits, you can stop this method and you can calculate the total overheads. So herein we'll calculate the total overheads of X, that is 4,75,000 plus 29,125 plus 145. So this will be 504,270. And this will be 582,500 plus 2913. So this will be 585,413. Now we have got the total overheads, that is 504,270 and 585,413. Now this will be distributed to A, B and C in the ratio of 45, 15 and 30. Now again, few students were having queries that, sir, why they have taken 90% and 95%. It means what? 10% is already gone to Y. So we'll be distributing this 90% amount only. Many students were having doubts that, sir, why they have taken 90% in the solution, that is 504,271 into 90%. The only reason is that 10% is already gone to Y and 5% is already gone to X. That's why we are distributing the balance amount. So this is all what about a quick brief of the trial and error method. This is all what quick brief about the trial and error method. So now without wasting time, let's proceed with the next part of the chapter, that is absorption. Now guys, we are done with all the hard work, that is about distribution, redistribution, allocation, apportionment, reapportionment, whatever it is. Now, what is the major object behind this hard work? Very simple. The ultimate object is what? The overheads of the production department is to be charged to the product to calculate the cost of the product, or the overheads of the production department is to be charged to the job to calculate the total cost of job. So the major object is what? Very simple, to charge the overheads to a particular product to calculate the cost. So that's why we did all the exercises, that is distribution, allocation and apportionment, whatever it is. Now, my point is how to charge. We have the final overheads of the production department. Let's say I have 3 production department. Assembly, I have 3 production department. Let's say assembly, packing and finishing. I repeat again guys, I have three types of production department. Now after apportionment, reapportionment, whatever it is, I have got the final overheads of these three production department. Let's say 5 lakh, 6 lakh and 9 lakh. Now, my point is how to first of all charge these overheads to a particular product to calculate the total cost of a product, or how to charge these overheads to a particular job to calculate the cost of a job. Let's say another point, I have a job, let's say job number 510, wherein I know very well that my material cost is, let's say, 20,000. Further, I have incurred the labor cost also. Let's say for 1,000 hours total were dedicated for this job 510, wherein I have paid the wages at the rate of 12 per hour. So my total labor cost is 12,000. Further, I have incurred direct expenses also, that is 8,000. Now, is this the total cost of the job? No. We need to charge these overheads of the production department to this job to calculate the total cost of the job. Now, how? The answer is via absorption. How? Via absorption. I repeat again, guys. Let's say I am a businessman, I am a manufacturer, I do manufacture 4 to 5 products, wherein I have 3 production departments, wherein every product passed through these 3 production departments before being converted into final product. Now, after allocation, apportionment, distribution, redistribution, now I have the final overheads of these 3 departments, that is assembly department, packing department and finishing department, that is 5 lakh, 6 lakh and 9 lakh. Now let's take a situation wherein there is a job named 510, wherein the material cost is 20,000. The labor cost is, let's say, 1,000 hours. We have paid at the rate of 12 per hour. The direct expenses are 8,000. So this much expenditures are already incurred. Now I have to calculate the total cost of the job. So I need to charge the overheads of these production department to this job to calculate the total cost of job. Now the question is how? Very simple, guys. The answer to this question is via absorption. Now, what we will do in absorption is we will calculate the absorption rate. What we will do? We'll calculate the absorption rate, and that rate is used to charge the overheads. That rate is used to charge the overheads of production department to a job or a product to calculate the total cost. Now, what is absorption rate? Let's say I have 3 production department assembly. Now the question has clearly mentioned that the overheads of assembly department are more or less a labor intensive job and they are more or less related to labor hours. So let's say the total labor hours that are worked in assembly department is, let's say, 1 lakh hours. Let's say the total labor hours worked in assembly department is, let's say, 1 lakh. It means what? For 1 lakh labor hours, the total cost was how much? 5 lakh rupees. So what will be the cost per hour? Very simple. Rupees 5 per hour. I repeat again, guys, this assembly department is a labor intensive department. Further, the question has also mentioned that the overheads of the assembly department are to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours. So here Since maximum of the work is done on machine, so it is machine oriented department. Further, the question has clearly mentioned that the overheads of packing and finishing department will be absorbed on the basis of machine hours. And let's say my machine hours are given, let's say 50,000 machine hours. So we can calculate the machine hour rate, that is the total overheads are 6 lakh, and this overheads of 6 lakh is incurred for 50,000 machine hours. So the rate per hour will be how much? Rupees 12 per hour. So these two rates are what we call as absorption rate. These two rates are what we call as absorption rate. So I repeat again, guys, the major object of all this exercise, is what? To calculate the cost of the product. And while calculating the cost of product, we need to charge the overheads of the production department to a particular product or to a particular job to calculate the total cost. When talking about how come, very simple, the answer is via absorption. So what we do in absorption is we first calculate the absorption rate, and that rate is used to charge the overheads of the production department to various job or a product to calculate the total cost. Admin sir, is the video stuck again? Many students are facing this problem at the same time. Admin sir, are you there? Because at the same time the students are facing the issue. मतलब अभी कोई पर्टिकुलर टाइम पे इशू आता है तो 2-3 स्टूडेंट्स का एक साथ इशू आ रहा है, तो शायद हमारे एंड पे ही कुछ दिक्कत आ रहा है सर. I think there are some issues from our end, sir. Guys, just give me 1 minute. Let me check the connectivity issues once again. Sir, एक बार सेशन आप होल्ड पे डालेंगे प्लीज. Sorry for that break, guys. Let's proceed further. Since the video was stuck or there was some connectivity issues, so explaining the things once again in brief. That is, there are two production departments, let's say assembly and packing department. The overheads of this department are 5 lakh and 6 lakh. Now I want to charge these overheads of assembly department and packing department to a particular job wherein the total labor hours worked were 1000, and let's say the total machine hours worked for this job is, let's say, 600 hours. I repeat again, guys. Great. So now I repeat again, guys. I have two production department. The total overheads are 5 lakh and 6 lakh. Further, I want to charge these overheads of these two departments to a particular job, wherein in this job 510 total labor hour worked were 1000 hours and total machine hours worked were 600 hours. Now the question has clearly mentioned that assembly department is more or less labor intensive, so that's why we have absorbed the overheads. That's why we have absorbed the overheads of assembly department on the basis of labor hours. Similarly, guys, packing and finishing department, guys, it is more of a machine intensive job. So the question has clearly mentioned that the overheads of the packing and finishing department are absorbed on the basis of machine hour. So what we did is we calculated the absorption rate. How come? 5 lakh divided by 1 lakh, that is 5 rupees per hour, and 6 lakh divided by 50,000 hours, that is rupees 12 per hour. So this is how we calculated the absorption rate. Now with the help of this absorption rate, we will charge the overhead of these two production departments to this job to calculate the cost of job. How come? Now guys, we are done with this part, that is 40,000. This is what we call as prime cost. What is prime cost and all, I'll be discussing in cost sheet. Now let's charge the overheads of the production department, wherein there are two production departments, that is assembly. Now the rate per hour is how much? Rupees 5 per hour, 5 per labor hour. It means what? कि हर लेबर आवर के बदले हमें 5 रुपए खर्चा हुआ है. I repeat again, for every hour our expenditure is rupees 5 for this production department. So in this job we have worked for 1000 hours. It means what? The total amount that is spent on this job for assembly production department is how much? 5,000. Similarly, in packing and finishing department, the expenditures that are incurred per hour is rupees 12, and we have worked for 600 machine hours in this packing and finishing department. So 600 total machine hours we have worked, and the machine hour rate is rupees 12 per hour. So this will be 7,200. So now we can easily calculate the total cost of the job, wherein whatever the expenditures that are specifically incurred plus the expenditures that are incurred as a whole are charged to this job to calculate the total cost of the job. So 40,000 plus 5,000 plus 7,200. This will be 52,200. That will be the cost of the job. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please ask me. If you guys have any queries, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries. I repeat again, the major object of all this exercise, what we did in the last session and today's session, is to charge the overheads of the production department to a particular job or to a particular product to calculate the total cost. The answer to this question is via absorption. In absorption, we do calculate the absorption rate, and that rate is used to charge the overheads to a particular product or to a particular job to calculate the total cost. If you guys have any doubts in this concept, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Those who want to copy this explanation can please copy. This is an illustration, guys. This is an example wherein it is given that for a particular job, total labor hours worked is 1,000 and total machine hour worked is 600 hours. This is a question, not a solution, guys. Riya Jaiswal, sir, please explain it one more time. Further, Mantanjali, sir, why we take labor hour in assembly department and machine hours in packing department? Mantanjali, I am assuming that it is given in the question that the overheads of the assembly department are to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours, and the overheads of packing and finishing department are to be absorbed on the basis of machine hour. It is given in the question, guys. I repeat again the entire process because in between the video was buffering, there were connectivity issues. I repeat again, we are discussing absorption. Let's say I'm having a company wherein I do manufacture 4 to 5 products, wherein all the products pass through these two processes before being converted into final product. The total overheads after allocation, apportionment, distribution and redistribution is, let's say, 5 lakh for assembly and 6 lakh for packing and finishing. Now, it is given in the question that the overheads of the assembly department are to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours. So there are total 1 lakh labor hour. It means what? The per hour labor hour cost will be rupees 5 per hour. Further, it is specifically given in the question that the total overheads of packing and finishing department are to be absorbed on the basis of machine hours. And since the machine hours were total 50,000, it means what? The absorption rate will be rupees 12 per hour. So we are done with the calculation of absorption rate. Now, with the help of this absorption rate, we will charge the overheads of these two departments to this job. Herein in this job, the total material cost given is 20,000. The total labor cost given is for 1,000 hour paid at the rate 12 per hour, that is 12,000. Further, the direct expenses are also given, that is 8,000. Further, it is also given in the question that we have worked for total 600 hours. This information is given in the question. I am writing G where it is given. All this information is given in the question. So now we have to calculate the total cost of this job. So 40,000 is the direct cost. That's what it is given in the question. Now we have to charge the overheads of these two departments to calculate the total cost of the job. So herein it is given that for assembly department rupees 5 per hour is the absorption rate. So since we have worked for 1,000 hours, so 1,000 hours into 5 per hour, so the total cost will be 5,000. And since we have worked for 600 machine hours and the rate per machine hour is rupees 12 per machine hour, so 600 into 12, that is 7,200. So this is how I calculated the total cost of this job. Those who have any queries can please ask me, waiting for your queries. And apart from this, please copy this part, those who want to copy. Siddharth, this is the just random figures I have taken. It's not a question on illustration. I've just taken the random figures for your understanding, for your better understanding, my dear. Anyone else having any doubts can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Yes, Vijay Gore. I repeat again, the total overheads are given, the total labor hours are given, the packing and finishing 6 lakh overheads are given, and the 50,000 machine hours are also given in the question. So we have calculated the absorption rate by dividing 5 lakh divided by 1 lakh, that is rupees 5 per hour, and 6 lakh divided by 50,000, that is rupees 12 per machine hour. This information is also given in the question, that is 600 hours we actually worked for this job number 510. Yes, my dear, total 1000 labor hours we have worked for this job. And since the overheads of the assembly department are absorbed on the basis of labor hour, it means what? For every labor hour, the overheads of the assembly department will be rupees 5. So if for this job we have worked for 1000 hours, so the total overheads of the assembly department that is charged to this job is how much? 1000 hours into rupees 5. Anyone else having any queries? Those who want to copy this part can please copy. Now guys, in most of the cases, the question will clearly specify that how you have to absorb the overhead, either on the basis of machine hour or on the basis of labor hours. But there are many methods as provided in the material. So I'll be discussing these methods for your reference. But from examination point of view, the examiner will clearly specify that you have to absorb the overheads on a particular basis. Pooja, my dear, I'm telling that 600 machine hours are given in this question. That is total 600 machine hours we worked for this job. It is given in the question, my dear. Now there are again more methods of absorption. We have discussed only two methods, that is on the basis of machine hours or on the basis of labor hours. There are few more methods. That is, the first method is when the overheads are absorbed on the basis of direct material. Let's say the department, let's say a particular production department is more, dependent upon the material part. So in that case, we do absorb the overheads on the basis of material. So first we will be discussing on the basis of direct material. Let's take an example wherein the total overheads of the department are, let's say, 5 lakh. And the total cost of material is, let's say, 10 lakh. It means what? When we are absorbing on the basis of direct material, so how to absorb? Very simple, guys. Overheads that are incurred divided by direct material into 100. So let's say my total overheads of the department are 5 lakh, and let's say the cost of direct material is 10 lakh. So into 100, it means what? 50%. So it means what? The overheads of this particular department are absorbed on the basis of direct material. And it means what? Let's say if there is any job wherein the direct material is, let's say, 20,000. The labor is, let's say, 10,000. Now, how much will be the overheads? Very simple. See, this department is more material intensive, and we have calculated the absorption rate on the basis of direct material. So whatever the overheads will be, that will be absorbed on the basis of direct material. So in this particular job, the total material cost is how much? 20,000. And since the overheads are absorbed on the basis of direct material, so the overheads that will be charged to this job will be 10,000. So the total cost of job will be 40,000. I repeat again, there are various methods of absorption, wherein the first method is on the basis of direct material. So in that case, we do calculate the absorption rate in percentage. That is, how much percentage of overheads are incurred for direct material. So the total overheads divided by direct material into 100. So let's take an example wherein the total overheads are 5 lakh. The total material is 10 lakh into 100. So this will be 50%. Now, when talking about a question, let's say the material cost is 20,000, the labor cost is 10,000. Now, how to charge the overheads? Since the overheads are dependent upon direct material, so 20,000 is the total material cost into 50%. So 10,000 will be the overheads for this job. Similarly, there is one more method of absorption that is on the basis of prime cost. So again, the formula will be overheads divided by prime cost into 100. Again, on the basis of direct labor cost, this will be overheads divided by labor cost into 100. This method is generally not applicable. In fact, the most commonly used method is on the basis of labor hours If the question is silent, you have to always use this method. I repeat again, guys, this method is not used at all now. Very important, guys, on the basis of labor hours, very important, guys, if the question is silent, this is the best method of absorption of overheads of any department. If the question is silent and if the department is more labor intensive. So very simple, guys, again, overheads divided by labor hours. If the department is not machine intensive, plus no information is given in the question, then you can absorb the overheads on the basis of labor hours. This method we have already discussed in the previous illustration. One more method on the basis of machine hours. That is overheads divided by machine hours. Now one more situation, guys. If we are manufacturing only one type of product, I repeat again, if we are manufacturing only one type of product on basis of units produced, so this will be overheads divided by units produced. This method is used only when only one type of product is manufactured in the factory, then only this method is to be used. So I repeat again, to sum up the things, if the department is more dependent, if a production department is more dependent upon material, this method is advisable. As far as this method is to be used only when specifically asked in the question. If the question is silent and the department is, the department is more labor intensive, let's say assembly department is there, packing department is there, then overheads divided by labor hours. On the basis of machine hours, let's say machining department is given, then the overheads will be absorbed on the basis of machine hours. And last, if only one type of product is manufactured in the factory, then it will be overheads divided by units produced. So these are the various methods of absorption we can use. But yes, if the question is silent, this is the best method we should apply to calculate the absorption rate. So if you guys have any doubts in calculation of absorption rate, why absorption, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. We are done with this part. Now we'll move towards the next part of the chapter, that is meaning and treatment of under and over absorption of overhead. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. There is a query from Tanishka Agrawal, sir. Why didn't we multiply it with 100 in 4th, 5th, and 6th formula? See, in 4th formula, let's say the total overheads are 5 lakh and the labor hours is 1 lakh hours. It means what? For every labor hour, we will calculate the rate. Similarly, for every machine hour, we will calculate the rate. But herein, it is not given in hours or something like that. It is given in rupees. The overheads are also given in rupees and material cost is also given in rupees. It means what we have to calculate in percentage. I'll be asking many questions, my dear. Don't worry. Tanishka Agrawal, hopefully your doubt is resolved. In this case, both the overheads and the material are in monetary terms. That's why we have calculated the absorption rate in percentage basis. But in this way, I mean, herein the overheads are in rupees and this part is in hours, that is in units. So that's why. Thank you so much, Mantanjali. Sahil Walia, please keep your queries on hold. I'll be addressing your query at the end of the session. My dear, please don't repost the queries again and again, Sahil. No worries, Tanishka. Sahil Wali, I request you to please don't repost the queries again and again. I'll be addressing your query because it is related to trial and error method. So please don't repost it. I'll discuss it at the end of the session. Now, guys, let's proceed further with under and over absorption of overhead. Since hardly 15 minutes are left, so we'll be discussing the meaning of under and over absorption of overhead. As far as treatment is concerned, we'll be discussing in the next session. Plus, the question on machine hour rate also we'll be discussing in the next session. So, guys, let's start with under or over absorption of overhead. Now, guys, in cost sheet or costing, the data that we use to calculate the total cost of a product is an estimated data. That is, if we are looking to calculate the cost of a particular product, we do identify that how much material, how much estimated material cost will be incurred, how much estimated labor cost will be incurred, how much estimated direct expenses will be incurred. Further, these production overheads are also estimated. And the absorption rate we do calculate is also an estimated rate. So when talking about the cost of a product, it is fixed up well in advance to calculate the selling price. But when talking about, one second, guys. So guys, all these costs are estimated well in advance before starting the manufacturing process or before launching the product in the market, because we have to fix up the selling price. So all these cost data are the estimated data. So herein the absorption rate also we have calculated to charge the overheads of the production department to calculate the total cost of the product is also an estimated absorption rate. We call it as a predetermined rate. So when talking about cost, I repeat again, the absorption rate, what we are using is a predetermined rate or a budgeted rate. Now, when the actual overheads will be incurred, the actual absorption rate will also be calculated. And the actual absorption rate will be different or may differ from the rate we have already calculated, that is the budgeted rate or predetermined rate. So there will be a difference between the actual absorption rate and the predetermined rate. The difference is we call as under or over absorption of overhead. Again, to cut short the things, I repeat again, the cost is all an estimated data. The absorption rate we do calculate is also an estimated absorption rate. Let's call it as predetermined rate. Now, when the actual overheads are incurred, the actual absorption rate is calculated, and that actual absorption rate may differ from that predetermined rate. So the difference in the absorption rate, that is the actual absorption rate, and the predetermined rate is what we call as the under or over absorption of overhead. So what we do in under or over absorption, we can first of all find out the difference, that how much is under or over absorption. So in under or over absorption, we first calculate the absorbed overheads. And then we do identify that how much is under or over absorption of overhead. So herein there are two terms, that is under absorption and over absorption. So when talking about under absorption, the name itself says that under absorption, it means overhead are under absorbed. It means what? Absorbed overheads are less, they are under absorbed than actual overheads. I repeat again, the name itself says under absorption. It means what? Absorbed overheads are less than actual overheads. When talking about over absorption, it means what? Over absorption, we are over absorbed than actual overhead. It means what? Absorbed overheads are more than actual overheads. So what is under or over absorption? It may happen when there is a difference between the overheads as per predetermined rate and the actual overhead. It will be under or over absorption. When talking about under absorption, it means what? Or absorbed overheads are less than actual overheads. This is under absorption. When the absorbed overheads are more, it is over absorption. Let me discuss this concept with the help of an example. Let's say my budgeted overheads are 10 lakh. My budgeted hours, my labor hours are, let's say budgeted labor hour let's say 2 lakh hours. My total estimated overheads are 10 lakh and my total estimated hours are 2 lakh hours. It means what? We can easily calculate the absorption rate, and that absorption rate will be how much? Rupees 5 per hour. So how much will be the absorption rate? 10 lakh divided by 2 lakh, rupees 5 per hour. This will be my absorption rate, or we call it as predetermined rate. Or we can say budgeted rate of absorption of overhead. These three names we can use it interchangeably, that is budgeted absorption rate or predetermined rate, whatever it is. Now, when talking about actual data, let's say actual hours worked, let's say 70,000 hours only. We have worked only for 70,000 hours, and let's take two situations wherein actual overheads were, let's say in first situation they are 3,40,000 And in the second situation, let's say it is 3,80,000. I repeat again, guys. See, there is a query from Rekha that, sir, by actual overhead you mean estimated overhead. No. See, Rekha, when I repeat again, when you calculate that, when the companies fix up the selling price, they do estimate the cost well in advance. They do take the estimated material cost, labor cost, estimated direct expenses, and to charge the overheads, they do calculate the estimated absorption rate. So this is the estimated absorption rate, that is rupees 5 per hour. But when after at the year end, when the actual figures are out, they say that my overheads incurred are 70,000 and the actual overhead, actual hours worked are 70,000 hours, and the actual overheads, let's take two situations, if it is 3,40,000 and 3,80,000. So I hope your query is resolved, Rekha. Now, the budgeted overheads are given, that is 10 lakh. The budgeted labor hours are given, that is 2 lakh. So my estimated absorption rate, my predetermined rate is how much? Rupees 5 per hour. At the year end, when the actual data was ready, I came to know that actual hours worked were how much? Only 70,000 hours. Wherein the actual overheads, I have taken two situations. What if in case if the actual overheads are 3,40,000? And what if in case actual overheads are 3,80,000? How much is the under or over absorption of overhead? Now guys, let's start. So first we will calculate the absorbed overhead. Here we have got the rate, that is rupees 5 per hour. It means what? How much will be my absorbed overhead? Very simple, since we have worked for 70,000 hours and our absorption rate is rupees 5 per hour. It means what? My absorbed overhead will be how much? This is the step first. That is, we calculate the absorbed overheads. That is 70,000 hours into the rate, that is predetermined rate is 5 per hour. It means my absorbed overheads are 3,50,000. I repeat again, this is the first step, that is you have to calculate the absorbed overheads, wherein we work for actual hours, that is 70,000 hours. So for 70,000 hours, how much expenditures were that were supposed to be incurred? 3,50,000 is the expenditure that was supposed to be incurred, or 3,50,000 are the overheads that were supposed to be absorbed. Now, two situations, that is first and second. In first situation, let's say my overheads are 3,40,000, my actual. Actual overheads are 3,80,000. Now, how much is the under or over absorption? So guys, listen to me carefully, very carefully guys. My absorbed overheads are how much? 350. Whereas my actual overheads are in second situation how much? 380. It means what? My absorbed overheads are less than my actual overheads. So this is what we call as under absorption. We have absorbed less overheads, less by 30,000 rupees. So in this case, this will be under absorption, wherein my absorbed overheads are less than my actual overheads. So this 30,000 will be what? Under absorption. That is 30,000. I repeat again, when the absorbed overheads are less, it is under. When absorbed overheads are more, it is over absorption. So herein, my absorbed overheads are 350 and my actual overheads are 340. It means what? My absorbed overheads are more, so it is over absorption. That is by 10,000. So to conclude the things, guys, if absorbed overheads are more, it is over absorption. If absorbed overheads are less, let's say my absorbed overheads are 5 lakh. My absorbed overheads are 5 lakh and my actual overheads are, let's say, 6 lakh. It means what? We have under absorbed the overheads. If you guys have any doubts in under or over absorption, I'm I have discussed the meaning of under and over absorption of overhead. If you guys have any queries, you guys can please ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Those who want to copy this explanation can please copy. Waiting for your queries, guys. Please copy this explanation, guys. Thank you so much, Janesha. Sushil Kumar Bang, sir, what is absorption? Absorption is a technique. Absorption is the way wherein we do charge, with the help of absorption, we do charge the overheads of production department to a particular job or to a particular product to calculate the total cost. I'll be discussing the part, Himanshu, about treatment of under and over absorption of overhead in the next session. Harsh, neither of them is good. Now, guys, let me give you a question to test that whether you guys understood under or over absorption. Let's say my budgeted data is given, that is hours is given, that is 1 lakh hours, and my overheads are given, that is, let's say, 5 lakh rupees. My actual data is also given, that is hours, that is 90,000. And actual overheads is given 4,80,000. I want the final amount of under or over absorption and amount. Waiting for your answers, guys. I repeat again, there is a question to test that whether you guys have understood the concept of under and over absorption. Guys, very important. This concept is very important, and examiner do frequently ask question on under and over absorption and the treatment thereof. So treatment I'll be discussing in the next class. So we have 5 more minutes, guys. You guys have to answer that how much is the amount for under or over absorption, whether it is under or over absorption. Waiting for your queries, guys. Sorry, waiting for your answers, guys. I've got the answer from Himanshu. Himanshu, your answer is correct. Madhuri, very good. Your answer is correct. Ankit Gupta, very good. Vijay Gore, very good. Rekha, very good. Aniket, also very good. Your answer is correct. Still waiting for the others to answer. I have received answer from 6 to 7 students. Jinesha, Sushil, Mantanjali, Harsh, Himanshu, Rafika, Sahil, where are you guys? Waiting for your answers. Swati, your answer is incorrect. Sorry, your answer is correct, Swati. I think you have posted the incorrect answer earlier. Pooja, very good. Your answer is correct. Kamlesh Chaudhary, correct answer, my dear. Kaveri Pagare, your answer is incorrect, my dear. Tanishka Batra, I just want Rafika Memon, correct answer. Shivam Singh, correct answer. Kamlesh Chaudhary, correct answer. Kaveri, please write the final answer. I'm just looking for the final answer. Tanishka Batra, again, I just want it in rupees term, that is 20,000, 30,000, whatever it is, my dear. Miss Sinha, correct answer. Soumya, correct answer. Harsh, correct answer. Very good, guys. Okay, I've got an incorrect answer from Tirumala Koli. The answer is incorrect. Mantanjali, incorrect answer, my dear. Tanishka Agarwal, correct answer. Tirumala Koli, again incorrect answer, my dear. Now, guys, very simple. The overheads are 5 lakh. The total hours are 1 lakh. So my absorption rate is rupees 5. So I will first calculate the absorbed overheads. Absorbed overhead will be 90,000 for the actual hours worked into 5. So my absorbed overheads will be 4,50,000. However, when talking about actual overheads, my actual overheads are 4,80,000. It means what? My absorbed overheads are less. Just think from absorbed overhead perspective. My absorbed overheads are less or more? Less. By how much? 30,000. So this will be under absorption. I've got answer for many. Very good, Pooja. 20,000 is not the correct answer, my dear. Geeta Chaudhary, 20,000 is not the correct answer. So, guys, I hope most of you guys are clear with the concept of under and over absorption. In the next session, I'll be covering under and over absorption, meaning also I'll be giving you 2-3 more questions on under and absorption, over absorption. Apart from this, we will be discussing the full-fledged treatment of under and over absorption, and then 1 or 2 questions on machine hour rate. So for the next 1 hour, in the next session for 1.5 hours, we'll be discussing overheads only, and then we'll start with activity-based costing. That is in continuation of this chapter, is also a continuation of the chapter what we are currently discussing, that is overheads. So that's it for the day. There were some technical issues, network issues. So thanks for bearing all these issues, and thanks for participating in the session, guys. Thank you so much for your time and patience. And I tried my level best to cover all the queries. Still, if there are any queries left out, I'll try to address it in the next session. So I request you guys to please study what I have discussed in this session. I'll be asking you a few tricky questions in the live session. So let's see who answers first in the next session. So till then, guys, enjoy, relax, and study hard. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for participating in the session. Thank you so much, guys. Sir, done for the day.